Hour left. How about that? Great calls in the last hour, even though we drifted off into spirits and aliens and all this stuff. Those are the times we live in. What a remarkable day we've had just in the news. Let me just reset. We'll go back to the top and start over. Trump's now speaking live at Turning Point USA, and I want to dip into some of that. But we do have a good chance of rain tomorrow night into Sunday. That's a relief for some, but don't do any burning. The state is asking us not even stuff you think you have under control, because the winds and the dryness and things can go up quickly. And we do have some wildfires that have popped up all over the state. We're just in some parts of the state are in severe drought, some are in minor droughts, but we all have some form of it. So let's keep an eye on that this weekend. Rain Saturday night, maybe better chances of rain the next 2 weeks in the forecast as well. I tell you what, AJ, let's just go ahead and dip in and see what Trump's doing. It's been one of the most remarkable times of his presidency the last few days, and what looks like a wrap up in this Iran situation. The markets believe it's true. The peace dividend and the freeing of oil and commerce going forward is exactly what this country is supposed to be about. And I think Trump's going to be talking about Israel, Lebanon, Iran, all this stuff. So we're going to listen to him for just a few minutes here on Leland Live.
Crime ever recorded. That's despite all of these people that came into our country. Many of them are now gone, I'm pleased to tell you. The murder rate, isn't it a terrible thing to be talking about murder? But you got to say it. At least if it's good news. I guess it's good news. But the murder rate reached the lowest level in over 125 years. 1900. The year 1900, before my father was born. My father was great. Before he was born, the flow of deadly fentanyl pouring across our border is down by an astounding 59%. And as you probably noticed, if you watch the news, illegal drugs coming in by ocean or sea are down by 97%. 97. Boom, boom, boom. And we're trying to find out who the 3% is, because I consider them to be perhaps the bravest people anywhere in the world. Boom. Or they don't watch television or something. We passed the largest tax cuts in American history, the largest spending cuts in American history, the largest regulation cuts in American history, and the largest investment in border security in the history of our country. And starting my first day in office, we banned the transgender mutilization of our children. And we made it the official policy of the United States of America that there are only two genders, male and female. That was easy. Could you imagine if I was up here 20 years ago or 15 years ago, probably 12 years ago, and I said, there are only two genders, male and female. People would say, what the hell is he saying that for? Is he crazy? That's got to be the worst speech I've ever heard. Why is he saying that? Or why is he saying that we got men?
Well, there you have President Trump speaking at a turn.
Of course, the networks decided they want to jump right on back in there, so they do their thing. Back here to the studio. So Trump with a red meat crowd. Naturally, they're going to have some editorial decision making when they decide to go or not to go to Trump nowadays, because the world it turns on phrases from his administration. And I suppose after all the announcements today, they just assumed it was going to be a rah-rah speech. But Trump's about to be as visible as he is. He's about to be even more on the campaign trail as we head headlong into the midterms. So let me back up a little bit and revisit some of the things that happened today. We went straight into that to see what he was going to be doing. We may go back if it turns into anything newsworthy. But today, incredible announcements of the Iranians realizing where they are, this position that they're in, that they find themselves in after just being dominated and decimated in a lot of ways in the war that only took a few days for our military to achieve. They have no military apparatus to attack their friends. They really couldn't, And I kept telling y'all this. It was the threat that they could close the strait more than them actually physically closing the strait. They weren't out there denying the United States military from going in. We were trying to negotiate it so that we could get them to just realize fate and open it up on their own. But they kept the bluff going to keep us at the table, and Trump eventually had enough. And as we know, last weekend sent the military in. We took over the strait. We blockaded them. The rest of the world can go. And today the Iranians acquiesced and said, yes, the strait will be open. According to Trump, they've also given up their nuclear ambitions, the enriched material they have, agreed to an indefinite pause in all of their nuclear programs for a bomb. And the world is safer because of that. Their people are safer. Their neighbors are safer. The regime is mostly dead. And I think this hope springs eternal for the people that live in that country that have been under this oppression for most of them, most of their lives. The majority of the population of the country of Iran is under 35. That's been that way for a long time. Life expectancy is not the same there. It's a brutal regime. I don't think they ever carried out those executions of the 4 people, including the woman the other day, but maybe they did. It's still hard to get information about what's going on the ground. So I still have a heart for those people being able to be free, just like I'm hoping the same thing for the Cuban people at some point. So the humanitarian reason for us taking out this regime is there. The nuclear reason, the military threat and the terrorism reason, the economic reasons, as I explained over and over and over for the last 47 days of how they're selling black market oil to yet another adversary of this country in China. The president also, all that being said, has this meeting set up where there's supposed to be this big summit with China. And now we're going into there with the wind at our backs as a country. We don't need NATO. We don't need anyone. We're the United States of America. We cut our own deals. We look out for our people and our hemisphere. And we have repositioned everything, including according to all those doctrines. And it's been amazing to watch. Energy economics is radically different now. Everything has changed here in the last 47 days. And rather than me going on another rant about the hand wringers, those of you that were hand wringers, I get apprehension. I get a little skepticism. The cynicism and the paralysis of that got a hold of a lot of people, including people that will call this radio show. And y'all, we just got to be tougher. We got to have what the Iranians counted on the whole time. And they do this because they count on being able to manipulate social media algorithms and be able to put false information into our news cycle and into our conversations, that we will fold, we'll cave to the pressure of increased gas, and we'll start putting on they're used to politicians in this country that are afraid to fight, that at the sign of the first bad economic turn, they feel like they're losing to their internal enemies here at home, and they cave and try to get themselves out of it. Trump's a different character, and the Iranians finally had to come to realize that. He wasn't going to back down. Neither was his administration. And this country didn't really get into a freakout mode over increased gas prices for the last 47 days. If you're a trucker and you buy fuel for your business, it was tough, but it's going to come down now. And it's going to come down, I don't know how rapidly, because this newer, cheaper oil is going to have to cycle in. Again, oil got down to 80. At one point today, it was down to right at $80. We'd love to see it back in the 70s. It was higher than this for most of the Biden administration, and yet we survived that. So here we go into what should be a better space for both peace and prosperity. And what it took was grit and tenacity and risk. How risky is it during a midterm election year to go put your whole administration and the future of the rest of your presidency on the line and take care of something that our other presidents were afraid to do? We just did it. We did it quickly. We did it so quickly, I would argue that the military was a victim of its own success. And I said that during the shooting. When we went in there and the military knocked this thing out in about 4 days, everybody expected it all to be over. And when the Strait of Hormuz block was announced, everybody expected us to push a button and just open it back up. But the Trump team didn't want to do it that way. It was better to make the Iranians surrender. Now they have. And life is going to be better for all of the world. There are peace negotiations going on right now between Lebanon and Israel that were unthinkable I think it's been 44 years since the days of Reagan that those two nations ever even sat down across the table from each other. And now they're both talking about everybody getting into the peace accords, the Abraham Accords. That framework could be expanded to include some other nations, some of the Arabian nations. This is about peace and the region being prosperous. In this model, Gaza gets rebuilt not as a slum terror hellhole where they couldn't even flush a toilet, but a freaking resort. I mean, you may be on a cruise ship down the road going through the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian cruise lines, my friend. And cruising right on through there. Wouldn't it be nice for the world just to settle down? This one country has been the central source of most of the death and violence and tension and undermining and everything for 47 years since those nuts took over this ancient country. And it is over. And that was worth me, my personal sacrifice, outside of anything else I have to buy the next couple of weeks. It might be a little more expensive. Was I started doing the math on it. I filled up my truck 4 times in the last 47 days. I didn't really run my little Jeep around that much, except some days I did because it already had gas in it. But I've had to do some road trips, picking up some equipment and some long distance stuff rather than just my normal commute. So I filled up 4 times, probably cost me an extra $20 each time with a full tank. So about 80, $100. I'm willing to go down for that. I'm good with that. I'm completely good with that. For something that I have been wishing for since I was a child, that we would take care of these nut jobs. And we did. Cost me $100. I think it's pretty cheap. I said it earlier. We've just turned into a nation full of hand-wringing poons, and everything's a crisis. I'll never forget a guy called a couple of weeks ago, and I said, we're not in a crisis. He had been listening to Tucker or whatever. And he was like, oh, we are. My God. Have you seen the gas price? I was like, dude, it'll be over before it gets going. This is not World War II. Y'all, these generations are so damn spoiled. They don't know what sacrifice is. None of us do. We've not paid any great penalty for any of this stuff. There wasn't a big terror hit here in the United States. The proxies never did what they were supposed to do. We just had our gas prices go up. That was pretty much it. Can y'all think of anything else that was a big crisis? We didn't have to go do without, read about what the World War II generation had to do. They couldn't get sugar. I mean, they couldn't get flour. They had to wait in line for everything. They had to wait. They couldn't fill their cars up. Granted, they had very different vehicles than us. But they couldn't even get gas but about every 4 days. So you just walked, waited your turn to get gas. There were complete supply disruptions. And not to mention, they sent tens of thousands of young men to die. And we didn't have that problem either. It's been pretty successful. It's amazing. And to watch it all come down today. Now, the caveat, and I've given it every time I've given this little lecture, it ain't over. It ain't completely over. Who knows? I mean, something could change this weekend. You're dealing with the Iranians. They're the most duplicitous regime that's ever existed. And but if all goes well and the framework holds and the peace with Lebanon and Israel holds, it's a different world in a month. I mean, a different world. The whole strategy of the world every nation in the world now has to recalculate because of the consequences of what this country brought forward. And I'm proud of my country. 250 years later, we had to do the hard stuff, and it was violent and warlike. But in a short order, we've created the potential for expanding into everlasting peace and prosperity. The potential is there, and it did not exist at the end of February this same year. Alabama Dental bringing you the show tonight, alabamadental.com. Y'all reach out to them. Get that appointment and take care of yourself. We've all got to take care of our teeth, and some of y'all like to put it off. And the excuse usually is, well, I just don't have time. I've given this story before. Well, they open till 7. They're open on Saturdays. You got time. They made it that way. It takes a lot of dentists to do that, and they've got a 4-dentist practice to help them be able to keep these hours. And I love it. It's good for our patients. It's my dentist. Dr. Bryan's my personal dentist there. But each of those guys also have their own specialties. So if you got something weird going on or something chronic that's driving you crazy, they've got a specialist for you with the technology to help you out in those convenient hours with a comprehensive super practice over in Irondale and worth the drive from all over our listening area. It is alabamadental.com. Get your appointment. Get online. Do that. alabamadental.com. Back here in just a minute. Man, the show's just getting away from us. Let's get back on the phones. We'll grab a couple more phone calls as we get ready to wrap things up tonight. Dwayne is on line 2. What's up, Dwayne?
Hey, Leland, thanks for having my call, man. Hey, just a quick shout out. Met you, buddy Daniel Cox today at the Peach Cobbler Shop over there
cool.
around Springville. But anyway, great guy, wonderful.
Good man.
Wonderful
Yep.
dude.
Good man.
But anyway, my quick thing is I'm gonna ask this and try to get off here. Number one, I kind of missed a little bit of the ending toward where you were talking about the rezoning things. Would like to know if you think they are going to end up getting their way on that. I didn't quite catch that part. I think you were getting to that. And then the other thing is kind of curious as to knowing where, like, MSNBC, CNN, MS Now, or whatever it all is, all these, left-wing news outlets, since all this is kind of coming to a close, are they scrambling to try to keep something going, or what? Or do you think they're just going to have to eat crow from this point on?
Let me just reverse all that. The Virginia story, yeah, I think the voters are probably going to pass that map. North Virginia just gets dominated by Democrats and government workers. Two, if you're talking about the Supreme Court ruling, I think it looks like Alito is going to write the opinion, and the Supreme Court's going to rule you can't draw specific districts for minorities based on race. It's a civil rights violation for everybody else. So states are going to have to redraw. The question is, will the ruling come out, and will the states have time to do that to affect the primaries? So that's those two. As far as the mainstream media, they're never going to change. They're going to keep losing audience until they go broke, and then they're going to get consumed and consolidate and try to reform their image and change their logos and keep putting the same twits on the air that say the same stuff that America's turned its back on. They've lost most of their credibility, except with the most gullible among us.
I know they can't say nothing about this war no more, so I wonder what they're going to do now.
Well, they'll make something up. They'll go back to Stormy Daniels. I don't know. They'll come up with something. They'll deflect. Who can they dig back up now? All right. Thanks, Dwayne. Let's go to JJ on line 3 and get JJ in here before. Oh, did JJ drop? Man, I was looking forward to JJ. She's spunky sometimes. All right. 545-9950. If y'all want to get in on the show, we'd love to talk to you. Still got time for a few calls in the last sort of half hour of the show. It's just been an incredible day to watch the news unfold. I get excited about, now I love the weekends. I got a lot of stuff to do this weekend. I'm just going to check projects off and get stuff done. But I'm actually looking forward to Monday when the news cycle kicks back in, the markets open back up. We may know more about these deals by then. And then the potential after that. You just got to keep your feet moving and keep being optimistic. And along that line, it's time to consider buying gold and silver and platinum as part of all your investments. Your equities have come back. They're now back to record territory for the most part. Most people should have anything you own balanced out by something tangible and real, and that would be gold. They'll do that with you over at Alabama Gold Refinery in Homewood, across from the Regions Bank. They'll buy it from you, sell it to you, trade with you, anything. Go see Steve. Get to know him. It's a total resource. A lot of reasons to hold gold right now in your hand, in person. Nobody's business. Go see him at alabamagoldrefinery.com, alabamagoldrefinery.com. It's 5:34 at Leland Live, talking 99.5. My man Thomas over at Stockton Mortgage on the hotline with us one more time before we call it a weekend. Thomas, what is shaking here on this Friday night?
Man, we had a great week this week. Wanted to tell you about a local person that we had got the privilege to do a pre-approval for, and actually they've got a contract on one of that had an issue where they called in and they had contacted a national lender and was trying to get pre-approved. They had pre-approved them when they sent in their taxes. They gave them a pre-approval letter, and once they sent them the contract and they started working on the loan, their taxes, they didn't give them a fully completed pre-approval letter. They didn't look at their income before. Yep. So that's why you need to make sure you work with a professional. And who does their due diligence. So what happened was once they got their income taxes, they didn't cash flow. So they had written off, they're self-employed, and they had written off a lot of their income trying to save money. I totally get it. I don't blame them for that. Well, they contacted us so that they couldn't do the loan. So they were panicking. And so they contacted us, and we had a program. We said, you know what? Don't worry about it. We've got you. So they contacted us. We put them on a bank statement program. They gave us all the last 12 months bank statements. We took a look at it, and we got them disclosed today, and they're going to be a new homeowner in about 30 days. So, which is fantastic. So we solved their problem. Interest rates basically pretty close to the same thing as what they had, and man, down payment's the same. So they are super excited, and they're going to be a homeowner. So that's, if you're having problems getting your financing secured, give us a call. Let us sit down with you and see what we can do. And that's why you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence and you're working with a professional and working with somebody who is going to make sure that they're going through all your finances and making sure that they're looking at if they're not asking to look at your income documentations and your assets prior to you putting in an offer, they're not doing their due diligence and making sure that you are pre-approved. And that is because if they give you a pre-approval letter without doing all that, it's not worth the paper it's written on. So make sure that give us a call. Let us see what we can do for you. This weekend is going to be a beautiful weekend. I know a lot of people are going to be going down to Tuscaloosa to see Morgan Wallen. But, hey, if you need us, you can always give us a call, 205-859-8859 or savewithstockton.com.
SaveWithStockton.com. We appreciate you, Thomas. You have a great weekend. Sir. We'll talk to you next week, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. There's Thomas with a good word tonight. We always appreciate that. We've got so much busting out. Let me go back to this whole Charlie Kirk assassination trial. I guess some people are calling it the Tyler Robinson trial. And I don't know. To me, it's like comeuppance day in the news cycle. All these idiots that fell into the trap of believing these foolish people that just need your attention and clicks and constant paranoia and bad information over the Iran situation are almost the same people, the same podcasters at the center of that are directing that traffic are the same people buying all these stupid conspiracy theories about how Charlie Kirk died. And most of them have never been in a criminal trial, never covered a criminal trial. They're not used to the slow wheels of justice. Justice does not move at the speed of social media, and it never will. Our system's designed to be slow, and as frustrating as it is, you got to wait for it. And I've said it over and over again, as many murder trials and violence trials and other things that I covered in my younger days, the one thing you know is you can sit there and listen to every piece of the evidence and still not really know what a jury's going to do. So we're a long way from conviction in this case of Robinson. But I will tell you, the prosecution's case is as straightforward and simple and cut and dry as any case I've ever seen. And today they validated that by saying a lot of things in court. AJ, I sent you some sound. Tell me if that's ready. And I think that's going to allude to this. I just pulled the clip from the same place that I'm getting this information coming in. I think that hearing is still ongoing. So let me frame it up. So the defense for Tyler Robinson is trying to get the trial delayed. They're trying to keep the TV cameras out. They don't want media to be scrutinizing the evidence. But the world needs to see this evidence because of all the stupidity, particularly as it relates to Candace Owens and others, about how Charlie Kirk was plainly shot in front of everybody. One shot was fired. That was it. It was this idiot that was whipped into a frenzy by the other idiots in this country that somehow saw Charlie Kirk as a threat. Killed for his speech in cold blood, assassinated in front of everybody that day. And I'll never forget it. It moved a lot of people. And it was this foolish idiot dating a cross-gender that thought he was a little warrior, stole his grandpa's gun and shot him. So all these people the whole time, because they didn't have the benefit of the evidence. The prosecution is never going to put all this stuff out and show it in the beginning of a case. It prejudices the case. It throws off the jury. It helps you not be able to make a case. But when you get into preliminaries and you get into pretrial hearings, some of that evidence has to be presented to a judge to move forward, to keep the case on track. Then the public gets to see it. And so this afternoon in this preliminary hearing in front of this judge out in Utah, the prosecution told the judge they have video of Tyler Robinson moving into the sniper position. They have video of him firing the shots, and then they've got video of him running into the woods. It's all but, I mean, the guy, he's already confessed. They've got the murder weapon. They've got fragments from the slug. They've got matches to both. They've got timelines. They've got premeditation. They got other witnesses. His transgender boyfriend, whatever, is going to be a witness against him. His own family will probably wind up testifying against him. They're the ones that got him to turn himself in when he admitted it to them. The guy was just a freak, and he did something violent, and that's a lot more understandable and explainable than the stupidity that people have gotten drawn into with this nut job, Candace Owens. So I don't know what this clip says, AJ, but I'm going to let you play it, and we'll all listen to it together because it's connected to the information I just presented to you from people that are observing that trial this afternoon. Let's take a listen to that courtroom out in Utah.
Campus. UVU surveillance then captures him return later. He returns on foot right before the Charlie Kirk event. He's wearing a disguise of sorts. He's wearing a baseball cap, different baseball cap, pulled low. He's got sunglasses on, a different shirt, different pants, but the same Converse shoes. That's all seen in the surveillance. He's limping because there's a rifle down his pants. The surveillance captures this individual. Again, I don't want to overstate the evidence because
okay, AJ, is that one of those where we've got two channels and one of those channels isn't going out over either the internet or I think it's our over-the-air signal. We've been doing this for 10 years in the studio, and I still can't understand why that's ever the case.
Yeah, it's some for some odd reason we can hear, but and some folks maybe online can hear, but
it's so stupid. Maybe we could get closed captioning or something for the radio listeners. I'm joking. That wouldn't help either. Sign language, so y'all could hear these sound bites. So basically, they didn't show the video in the hearing, but you have the prosecutor describing what they're going to present to a jury. Just by way of background, that's what prosecutors have to before a trial ever takes place. The defense should know everything the prosecution has, and the prosecution knows everything the defense has. The judge knows everything both have, and in these evidentiary hearings and prelims, they decide what the jury's going to see and what they're not going to see. Many of you follow trials and seen this before. So this prosecutor's probably presenting evidence that they're going to present to the jury. I don't know what they were arguing about in that moment. It may be what's going to be presented publicly if they have cameras in the courtroom. But he's starting the prosecution in these phases have to start showing their cards a little bit to the public. Even though the defense knows this, the defense attorneys have the right of discovery to know everything the prosecutor is going to talk about. But you have to present the concepts of your case in a courtroom in front of everybody, and that's when the public gets in on it. Then, of course, the trial itself will all get treated to the back and forth over the evidence in the trial. And I'm just looking forward to it shutting some of these people the hell up. But here's the thing. We had a question a little while ago. I want to pontificate for a minute, and I know we're going to run out of time, and maybe we can squeeze some more calls in. We had a call a little while ago asking, it was toward the end of the hour, and he was asking about, well, what happens now that all these outlets, he was citing in NBC and CNN and all of them for being so wrong about this war situation. CNN sided with Ron during the war. They just did. Remember when they let him in there in the beginning to do a propaganda video and they did it? And then they kept trying to convince the whole country that somehow we were losing. And then they put these idiots on these panels every night to say we were losing. And that's just deranged. It literally is TDS. So the question was, so what happens now? Are these people? We had a question about Tucker earlier. Is he done now? No. The answer is no. And here's why. Because CNN has gotten away with lying to this country for years, and they get up the next day and blow dry their hair and get back on the set and keep going. They don't apologize. They do not correct. Neither does NBC. Neither will any of these pundits. They'll never correct and say, you know what? This did work out. They won't do it. Because what they know is people forget that they were wrong. People just get up and they have their consumer habits. And smart people will never trust an outlet or a source once they've been burned. But some people just aren't that smart. They'll come up with a spin and deflect over, memory hold that, come up with another thing to drive outrage, to draw people to click on their stuff and keep going. Because they're in business, and their business model is to keep people uneasy and outraged. And they're not just, look at Alex Jones. This guy made a fortune, drawing attention to himself with the kookiest stuff you ever heard of. And people believe everything he says. I'm not saying everything he says is wrong. Some of his stuff's correct. But he'll do this outlandish stuff. And he was doing this way before these other clowns. He gets sued out of existence, and he's still back. He comes right back. He's doing the same stuff. Different entity, that the entity got taken away from him, but he's still got the ability to go broadcast, or I guess whatever they could podcast. So he's back. They'll never stop presenting information, no matter how wrong they are. It's okay to be wrong in the opinion business. I mean, it's your opinion in the moment. Circumstances change, and you adapt to that. We all have to do that in this space. And a lot of times it's subtle and maybe even arguable, but the answer to that question is this fool Candace Owens and all these people that seem to have gone off into this conspiracy town and anti-Semitic stuff are just going to keep going. They'll be doing it again on Monday, like it did not happen. Who's the company that advertises like it never even happened? It's like ServPro or the cleanup people, whatever. Good Lord. Okay. All right, man, we got to go. I'm going to run clean out of time. Express Oil Change is probably near you. If you're out driving around, you're probably looking at one. They're everywhere. I think they've got, what they tell me, 67 locations. And I've been using them for years. And here's something special that they're doing between now and the end of the month. They're giving $1 from every single oil change to Children's Hospital. How nice is that? So you can know some of your money's going to a good cause. The rest of it's going to get your oil changed. It only takes them 10 minutes. They're really good about keeping you on that deadline. Now, I think that clock starts when you roll in, because sometimes you may roll in there and there's a car ahead of you or something, and you got to account for that. But even then, I found I can look at my watch, figure out when I need to be at work, roll in there, get it done, and it's off my list. That little light gets reset, and I'm done with it for a while. You got to take care of your car. My dad and my grandfather, I'll never forget growing up, boy, that was the one thing. They'd say, how's it going? Weather's nice today. What you doing this weekend? Did you change your oil? It was in the top 5 every time they talked to me when I first started driving a car. I was drilled with that. So you got to change your oil. You got to love on that car, keep it running, take good care of it, and do it with Express Oil Change. And by the way, some of your money, $1 of your oil change, will go to those beautiful babies and all those miracle workers over at Children's Hospital. It's Express Oil Change. Find one near you, locally owned and managed, and locations all over the place. Express Oil Change. All right, it's 5:54, man. I'm trying to wrap some things up here on what's been a crazy Friday. I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready for a little break from the news for the weekend. Ox Foundation Solutions also bringing you the show tonight. oxstrong.com. Man, this company does so many things, but they all relate to the foundation of your home, obviously. Everything underneath those floorboards. Your house needs your attention. Man, it just needs your attention. Sometimes we just live in them until we see something going wrong. And with foundations, by the time you notice with your untrained eyes, me too, it's probably a problem that's going to get bigger and bigger, or you could have noticed earlier if you're paying attention. But by the time you notice, you're going to need some help. The point is, be proactive. Look around, pull on doors, look for cracks. Just do a 360 around your home sometimes. Make sure everything's good to go, just periodically. If you know you sense something because you've seen an unusual crack in the bricks or inside that wasn't there, or a door that sticks that used to not stick, that's an early sign. Could save you a ton of money if you can get Ox over to diagnose why that's happening. When your house kind of goes like, everything gets weird. It can affect plumbing. It's a sequence. So a shift can usually form a crack that lets the water in. Then you got water underneath, and then you got mold. And all of that just needs to be taken care of. When you get mold, and we'll be into the humid season of the year, and that's when mold's like gas on a fire, man. It'll just spread all through the walls in your home. And your air in your home is sick. You got molds, just allergens that get built up, and just it's like a sponge. It collects other things. You got to take care of this stuff as soon as you sense it. Sometimes you can smell it, you can feel it, you can sense it. Maybe you're not going to crawl under there with a flashlight. That's why we have pros that can do that for you. Ox is comprehensive. They can level the whole house with those helical piers. That's the biggest project, I would presume. Then they have, of course, the crack repair, the water removal, the mold removal. I mean, you got to be a real pro to scientifically get all that out of your house. And then, of course, the final step when you've had these things done is to encapsulate so it doesn't come back. It's not going to haunt you forever and continue to make your house sick and your family sick. Ox are just pros at that stuff. Damp basements, even little cracks in your cinder block that might not be a huge shift, but you don't like the way it looks. They can come touch that up for you and handle all that. Oxstrong, oxstrong.com. Man, I'm going through all these headlines tonight, and it's still coming at us because they're on the different time zone out in Utah. We still got a few things coming in from the Robinson trial, and it's becoming increasingly apparent that the hype around this, it was just unnecessary. And how unfair to Erica Kirk. You may not like her personality. I don't know. Women are catty sometimes about that stuff. Men, whatever. I don't know. People can judge. In the beginning, I think her emotion captured everybody, and then look, she went back on the stage, and that was off-putting to some. But can you imagine what her family's been through? What she's been through? Her husband's dead. I don't care who you are, how much money you have, what position you're in. Suddenly you're in life without your two children, have lost the other spouse, and now you're all by yourself at night. That's big. That's real. And this little insidious little troll, Candace Owens, has been non-stop with this stuff. And most of it was based on the premise that we were not being told the truth about how the man died. And we all saw it on video. It was impossible to fake that. I'm telling you, I've covered a lot of crime. It's cut and dry. And now that that's apparent, what I'm going to do is get the popcorn and sit back and watch how they shift around. Watch what they have to say about it. By the way, Erica Kirk on stage right now at Turning Point, talking about how they're going to go forward through the midterms as an organization, not about the personal stuff, but about what they're going to do to try to continue to be effective with a young generation. And good for them. Maybe they can hold it together. I don't know. It's a crazy world. All right, that's all I got to say. AJ, you got anything else? Because I'm done, man.
Man, nope, that's it. You said all you can say and said all we can say for the week,
Lord.
man. So,
I got some new toys to grind up my woods. I'm about to commit violence in my woods and clean up my woods this weekend, I hope.
So, I'm assuming that you obviously you made it home safely.
Yeah, I got home.
Good.
Yeah, I got to put that thing together and get it on my tractor. I'm going to commit mayhem in my woods and clean the woods up. That's what I'm doing all weekend. It's on it. It's time. I'll see you Monday.
All right, see you Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Stay tuned for Break a Break coming up next. Goodbye, AJ.